Subject to conditions and availability.
Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden.
Hot breakfast. Tom Hanks is our special guest.
You're either being punished or rewarded. I'll let you decide.
I did do a whole show of grease on my front lawn when I was a kid. We charged everyone 10p. We raised a fiver and I gave it to Bishop's Waltham Gymnastics Club towards a new crash mat.
Do they get the crash mat?
I mean, it took a couple more years, but yeah.
It does happen to normal people like you. You've won £20,000. Well done.
I love this game.
Hot breakfast
With Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden. Weekdays from 6:30. Listen on your radio, global player, or smart speaker.
Play hard. The relaxing sound of fresh, cold running water. And you can have it in your kitchen. With amazing savings on Samsung fridge freezers at Currys PC World. Like the RB31 with its chilled water dispenser for only $399. Or upgrade to the Samsung RS8000 American-style fridge freezer with water and ice dispenser. A huge 609 litres of storage space. At just $1,049. How relaxing. At Currys PC World. Energy rating A+. T's and C's apply.
You don't just live in one room, so why should you Wi-Fi? With Sky Broadband's Wi-Fi guarantee, you'll get Wi-Fi in every room or money back. Perfect for food shopping in the bedroom, gaming in your PJs in the lounge, or streaming sci-fi movies in the kitchen. Get Sky's super-fast broadband and Wi-Fi guarantee. £32 a month for 18 months with $19.95 setup. Click on the banner now.
Sky Fibre errors, Sky Kit required. Refund on boost component of subscription paid during current minimum term up to date of claim. Minimum 3 megabits per second or money back. Prices may change during minimum term. See sky.com/guarantee.
Want to know what's happening in right now? The latest headlines are just a tap away with Fox News Talk on TuneIn. When news breaks, get up-to-the-minute coverage on developing stories from around the world. Plus, hear all the Fox shows you watch on your TV. Listen to Fox News Talk around the clock on TuneIn.
It's Liz Hernandez with your TuneIn Music News Update. Music Feed claims Beyonce and Adele are going to be on a new song together with One Republic. Coldplay's Chris Martin is playing the piano on the track. No word on when the song will be released or what its title will be. Meanwhile, the Daily Mail claims Aaron Carter has gotten a new tattoo of Rihanna inked on his face. Aaron got the idea for the tattoo from a 2013 photo shoot Rihanna did with GQ magazine where she posed as Medusa. To hear music from Beyonce, Adele, and Rihanna, search today's hits on TuneIn.
Welcome back. You're watching Squawk Box, live from the NASDAQ market site in Times Square.
All right, good morning. Welcome back, everybody. U.S. equity futures are down once again this morning after the big losses that we racked up yesterday. You saw that after the ISM showed weaker than expected manufacturing, a big pullback that looked like it was a bit of a freeze over the sector. This morning, the Dow futures are indicated down another 180 points. Yesterday, the Dow was down enough to give back all of its gains for the third quarter. So was the S&P. This morning, S&P futures are indicated down by about 20 points. The NASDAQ indicated down by 57. Check out shares of homebuilder Lennar. The company reported quarterly profit of $1.59 a share, beating the consensus estimate of $1.32. Revenue also beating what Wall Street was expecting. And new orders were up by 9% as measured by the number of homes sold. But notably, the dollar value of those new orders were 3% from a year earlier. Still, stock is up by about 3.2% today.
In other headlines, Twitter's website and its TweetDeck dashboard are back. A global outage earlier this morning affected thousands of users. Twitter didn't give any details on what has caused or what did cause that outage that I didn't
notice.
I saw it going on.
Did you?
Yeah, it was.
What happened? Was it just not loading new stuff or not loading
TweetDeck,
anything?
it just wouldn't let you on. Yeah, it's not TweetDeck actually. Incidentally, it's TweetDeck.
Twitter is a little slower this morning. Until a minute ago, I
TweetDeck
didn't have anything
better,
for 24 minutes.
Yeah, say that on the.
I think it's a TweetDeck. You know, like twee, like kind of cutesy, dandy-ish,
like Tweetyberg.
maybe.
So which part of Twitter is this? What is this?
TweetDeck is like a dashboard. It's a different app that you can use to kind of organize
And
Twitter.
to spy on other people, like to see what other people are up to and doing.
Well, not everybody.
No wonder I didn't notice. I don't do these.
Anyway, it was,
That's why Andrew always knows what everybody's doing, because he's mastered the art of this, and I've got to figure it out myself. I'm jealous.
You can organize in different categories.
Yeah, so you see, you're able to monitor much more over a broader period of time.
What does he do?
I don't understand. I haven't figured it out yet.
What does it give? What info does it give him, though?
You're able to better organize things and figure out more stuff. He's able to see a lot more more quickly.
When we come back, the months-long protests in Hong Kong escalating overnight. We'll speak with a major investor in the area to see how sentiment in the business hub of Asia has been affected. That's next.
At Synchrony, we're changing what's possible.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they are the right hire. And we give you this toy monkey, who will bang its symbols when the right CV appears on your desktop. Okay, there is no monkey. There is no monkey. But there are online skills tests.
See why more than 250,000 companies in the UK use Indeed for hiring. Visit Indeed.com/try today to try skills tests for free today. Terms and conditions apply.
Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October. Brexit will bring changes that affect businesses in many ways, particularly if you buy from EU suppliers, sell to EU customers, provide services to EU clients, and receive customer data from other businesses in the EU. Businesses need to prepare. Find out how at gov.uk/Brexit. Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October.
Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden.
Hard breakfast.
Tom Hanks is our special guest. You're either being punished or rewarded. I'll let you decide.
I did do a whole show of grease on my front lawn when I was a kid. We charged everyone 10p. We raised a fiver and I gave it to Bishop's Waltham Gymnastics Club towards a new crash mat.
Do they get the crash mat?
I mean, it took a couple more years, but yeah.
It does happen to normal people like you. You've won £20,000. Well done.
I love this game.
Hard breakfast
with Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden. Weekdays from 6:30. Listen on your radio, global player, or smart speaker.
Play hard. The relaxing sound of fresh, cold running water. And you can have it in your kitchen. With amazing savings on Samsung fridge freezers at Curry's PC World. Like the RB31 with its chilled water dispenser for only $399. Or upgrade to the Samsung RS8000 American-style fridge freezer with water and ice dispenser. A huge 609 litres of storage space. At just $1,049. How relaxing. At Curry's PC World. Energy rating A+. T's and C's apply.
We spoke to Nigel and Paulette from Lincoln about BT's complete Wi-Fi.
The boys' bedrooms are both in the attic. They do a lot of gaming, they do a lot of streaming.
Yeah.
They get the same strength of signal now in the attic that we get downstairs.
It was always dropping out, and we don't have that now. The children still get frustrated when they lose at things, but that's completely different.
Nigel, Paulette and the boys are 4 more happy BT customers with complete Wi-Fi that guarantees a Wi-Fi signal in every room.
Up to 3 discs to guarantee Wi-Fi or £20 off your bill. Terms apply.
From the Tune In Studios, I'm Fonseca, the Daily Sports Update. Major League Baseball wildcard action for the American League. We've got the Rays at the Athletics. This one's going to be Wednesday at 8:09 p.m. Eastern. How are the teams feeling?
It's really amazing. It's just a special day. More importantly, we get the win and in a crucial time, and we battle our butts off today.
Now, if you want to catch that game, search MLB. That's your Tune In Sports Update.
All right, welcome back. Protests in Hong Kong escalating in the last 24 hours. Sherry Kang joins us live from the area. Sherry, what can you tell us?
Good morning, Becky. So the shooting incident from yesterday in National Day clashes is certainly driving lots of questions. And police have just wrapped up 2-hour-long or over 2-hour-long a briefing from yesterday on that shooting. And of course, the preliminary findings, police say that the shooting was lawful and reasonable because the police officer felt his life was threatened here. But they also added that they have no shoot to kill or assault to kill order at the moment. This comes after more than 100 protesters as well as police officers were injured in that National Day clashes. And the protester, the 18-year-old anti-government protester, is now in a stable condition. Now, of course, this is getting a lot of reaction across Hong Kong. We've got hundreds taking to the streets in solidarity with the protester who was shot yesterday. Certainly an event that's unlikely to diffuse the tensions in Hong Kong. In the meantime, Hong Kong malls are taking a hit from all this civil unrest. We've got Hong Kong's August retail sales down 23% on year in value, and that's the worst on record. Guys, back to you.
Sherry, thank you very much. Let's bring in an investor to get a feel for sentiment in Hong Kong. Joining us now, Wei-Jin Chan. He is chairman and CEO of PAG. It's a leading alternative investment firm in Asia with $30 billion in assets under management. His best-selling autobiography, Out of the Gobi, came out earlier this year. Wei-Jin, thank you very much for joining us this morning. You just heard that latest update on the protests, on some of the economic effects. What is this doing to the investment environment in Hong Kong, and I guess even the long-term questions of governance there?
We are a foreign investor, as many investors based in Hong Kong. Typically, foreign investors don't invest in Hong Kong, other than those who invest in public markets. We are a private equity investor, and therefore we invest in private companies, and we don't invest in Hong Kong in the past almost 20 years. So our investments are in Asia, in China, in Japan, in Korea, in Australia, and therefore whatever is happening to the retail sector in Hong Kong does not affect us much at all. But to the extent that there's unrest over there, of course, that makes our life not so comfortable.
Why have you not invested in Hong Kong in the past 10 years? Was it something you saw about the investments there or something else?
Hong Kong is a very small market. 25 years ago, Hong Kong's GDP was about 25% of China's. Today, it's about 2%. And the business is mostly dominated by properties and by, I suppose, retail. So it's a relatively small market. As a private equity firm, we invest hundreds of millions of dollars, sometimes billions of dollars, and therefore it's very difficult to find large buyout opportunities in Hong Kong.
I mean, obviously it's not a perfect gauge of what's happening there on the ground, but I mean, the Hang Seng Index in 5 months, it's down more than 10%. It seems to be weighing on perhaps regional sentiment. I mean, how do you fit what's happening in Hong Kong into the broader kind of Asia economic environment that's already being stressed by this trade war?
I think the effect of the arrest in Hong Kong has on the rest of Asia will be quite limited. I think it will be largely confined to Hong Kong itself.
Okay, and I guess just to speak more broadly about where we are in terms of the U.S.-China trade negotiations, which are restarting, and obviously people trying to gauge the impact on local economies all over the place. Where do you think we sit with that as an investor? How do you incorporate that into your view?
The trade war, of course, hurts everybody, both warring parties as well as the global economy. And therefore, from a macro point of view, all the investors are affected. And as far as we're concerned, we have focused on investing in businesses which cater to private consumption in different countries in Asia, and therefore we are not directly affected. But if the economic growth of China and the rest of Asia is affected by trade war, we are indirectly affected.
So do you not believe that economic growth in those domestic economies is as yet been very affected by the trade war?
No, not so much. If you look at the real effect, even on China, it's quite limited. The U.S. export to China dropped about 8% last year, or about $10 billion. That's 2018. And the Chinese export to the United States last year rose, actually, about 7%, or $34 billion. So American trade deficit with China widened by 12% last year. In the first 8 months of this year, China's exports to the United States dropped by about less than 4%, and American exports to China dropped by about 24%. So the trade deficit again widened by about 8%. So the real effect is rather limited, but the psychological effect is quite noticeable. You know, people certainly are very anxious about where this trade war is headed, and would like to get this thing behind them, if possible.
I think that's a general sentiment. Wei-Jin, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
All right, coming up, Elizabeth Warren versus Facebook, new audio emerging of Mark Zuckerberg. speaking about a potential Warren presidency. That is next.
We need a bond on this project. I asked Markham.
We could play epic music, or we could speak in an overdramatic tone, or even set off fireworks. But that's just not smarty. Instead, we let our offer do the talking. Right now, you can grab 25% off our unlimited data SIM. That's just $18.75 a month with no speed restrictions, no credit check, and no long contract to tie you in. Now that's smarty. Just search Smarty Mobile and switch today. It's easy. Offer available for a limited time only. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
At Argos, save 25% off homewares across thousands of lines. Our autumn-winter home and furniture collection is here. So stylish, you can wear it. With Argos, you're good to go. Offer ends 8th of October. Conditions apply. Subject to availability. Selected lines.
Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden.
Hot breakfast.
Tom Hanks is our special guest. You're either being punished or rewarded. I'll let you decide.
I did do a whole show of grease on my front lawn when I was a kid. We charged everyone 10p. We raised a fiver and I gave it to Bishop's Waltham Gymnastics Club towards a new crash mat.
Do they get the crash mat?
I mean, it took a couple more years, but yeah.
It does happen to normal people like you. You've won £20,000. Well done.
I love this game.
Hot breakfast
with Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden. Weekdays from 6:30. Listen on your radio, global player, or smart speaker.
Play hard. The relaxing sound of fresh, cold running water. And you can have it in your kitchen. With amazing savings on Samsung fridge freezers at Curry's PC World. Like the RB31 with its chilled water dispenser for only $399. Or upgrade to the Samsung RS8000 American-style fridge freezer with water and ice dispenser. A huge 609 litres of storage space. At just $104.9. How relaxing. At Curry's PC World. Energy rating A+. T's and C's apply.
TuneIn puts you on the sideline for the 2019 college football season free all year long. With college football on TuneIn, hear the home and away call for more than 140 schools live. Regular season matchups and rivalry games. Conference championships and bowl games. The college football playoff.
Throw it. He's got it on his stiff arm. End zone. Touchdown.
You can listen to it all for free. At home, on campus, or on the road. Hear the excitement and pageantry of college football all season long free on TuneIn.
Did you know TuneIn doesn't just live here on your smart speaker? From the audio that moves you to the audio that gets you moving. Soundtrack your every movement with the free TuneIn app. Available on your phone or tablet. Download TuneIn on the App Store today.
These are the top buzzing stories on TuneIn.
John Cena used to get bullied.
I used to wear the airbrushed overalls, the MC Hammer pants. Used to wear my shirts on backwards, keep all the tags on my clothes.
Paris Hilton on how she pampers her pooches.
She built a mansion essentially for her.
The doggy mansion.
The dog, yeah.
I don't have kids yet, so basically I spoil them like they're my children.
Those were the top stories that are buzzing on TuneIn.
Welcome back to Squawk Box, everyone. Reports today on cracks in the coalition Facebook assembled to build a global digital-based payments network. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Visa, MasterCard, and other key financial partners that signed on originally to help build and maintain the Libra payments network are now reconsidering their involvement. This follows backlash from the United States and European watchdogs. Executives of some of Libra's backers have declined Facebook's request to publicly support the project. Mark Zuckerberg also finding himself in the middle of another controversy, this time with candidate Elizabeth Warren. The Verge obtaining audio of the Facebook CEO speaking candidly about critics, rivals, and the U.S. government.
Like Elizabeth Warren, who thinks that the right answer is to break up the companies, if she gets elected president, then I would bet that we will have a legal challenge, and I would bet that we will win the legal challenge. So does that still suck for us? Yeah. I mean, I don't have to, have a major lawsuit against our own government. I mean, that's not like the position that you want to be in when you're, it's like we care about our country and want to work with our government to do good things. And but look, at the end of the day, if someone's going to try to threaten something that existential, you go to the mat and you fight.
That was Mark Zuckerberg, not quietly speaking, but this was speaking to 3,000 employees in-house, taking questions and answers and speaking candidly. Senator Warren, though, responding in a tweet saying, what would really suck is if we don't fix a corrupt system that lets giant companies like Facebook engage in illegal anti-competitive practices, stomp on consumer privacy rights, and repeatedly fumble their responsibility to protect our democracy. Joining us right now on set to discuss all of this is Nilay Patel. He's editor-in-chief at The Verge, and Ed Lee, who's the New York Times media reporter and CNBC contributor. And guys, I have to say, I read through everything that we've seen him reporting on this, and I thought, fantastic, way to go, Mark Zuckerberg. He was speaking candidly, answering questions that his employees posed to him. You know, Elizabeth Warren picked up and jumped on this, but as far as I was concerned, it was like, good, speak out, be forthright. What did you think, Nilay?
Yeah, so, our reporter Casey Newton has been on the Facebook beat for over a year. He writes a newsletter about it every single day called The Interface. So, we got the audio from a source that he's been working on. Other sources in the company corroborated it. And what I thought was Mark Zuckerberg runs an entire social network that's about being transparent, and he's actually the most opaque CEO in the entire industry.
Until this conversation.
This is the most transparent we've ever heard him be. Yeah. He probably should have an opinion about Elizabeth Warren wanting to break up Facebook. Right. I think that does raise some important questions about their role in the upcoming election. If she ends up being the candidate, can he be neutral running a media distribution service of that size if one of the candidates wants to break up his company, calls it
this is so much fun. You just don't know, for some of us. When you started reading that first thing, you said there's a crack developing. I thought you were going to say between Silicon Valley and the Democratic Party. That's really what I thought. But for someone
there are a lot of people in Silicon Valley who like this because they're the smaller competitors who thinks they've been.
I love watching it. So what does this mean? You mean Google and Facebook aren't going to absolutely try to elect a Democrat this time around? They're not going to do it this time? Or what about you at the New York Times?
We have our own little pack going on. Yeah, sure, exactly. No, come on, no, that's not what we're thinking either.
He's so woke, and all of a sudden he's like in the real world. He's like, wow.
You see that?
Maybe
every time a Republican criticizes Facebook, Zuckerberg starts saying, "No, we're not that bad. We're fine. We're doing it." Elizabeth Warren says, "Hey, I think your company is a threat to democracy. I think you're too big. I think there should be some competition in this market." He says, "I'm going to go to the mat and fight you." Like, the actual words and actions when he's criticized by one side versus the other are very different.
It's just nice when he comes into the real world and sees what
different too, though.
You don't think Josh Hawley wants to break up Facebook?
Look, I think that there are other Republicans who might want to do it. Are there Republicans running for president who want to break up Facebook?
You don't think Josh Hawley is going to run for president?
You think he's going to win?
I mean, I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what he's going to win, but I know what his ambitions are.
Being woke is great in principle, until you actually see what some of the effects would be.
There is a lot of bipartisan sentiment in Washington to take on Facebook, not just
for
Facebook,
different
but
reasons,
the other, for different reasons. But they're such an easy target, and I think there's something a little bit disingenuous in what Zuckerberg's talking about in this town hall in particular, which is people are concerned that they think that we're so big and powerful. Well, they are so big and powerful. That is a big part of the reason why. That's why they're such a target of disinformation campaigns. They've got the most reach, for one thing. So I think he does recognize that, but I think he's sort of underestimating the concern from whether it's Elizabeth Warren or Hawley or others on the left or the right, why they need to go after it. I agree with Nilay. I think it's really, really interesting that a company that prides itself on being transparent and being open, and we want to connect people.
But here's the thing. He's opening up. He's talking to 3,000 employees. He's not thinking that this is a closed room conversation, and he's getting attacked for what he says in that.
He knew, don't you think?
Well,
this is not like a group of 5 people having a conversation in a quiet room.
But is it wrong to think that this particular story works for everybody on every side? Right. Zuckerberg standing up for his company. We're not going to let them break us up. Warren gets a foil, can kind of criticize. The Republicans can still criticize whatever. So it's almost like everyone's got their place, and they collect more money, and nothing really happens to the business yet.
Well, so let me try to come at it a different way. I don't think anybody's happy with Facebook on the right or the left, right?
I don't either. I think they're a big punching bag right now. And by the way, this is great news for all the smaller companies who are saying, finally, our day. They're the ones who are now saying, okay, we're going to donate more to this because we've been squished for so long and dealt with this big competitor that we can't fight against and who thwarts everything we ever try to do. They're thrilled with this, too. So Silicon Valley is no longer one monolithic voice in terms of what they want to see happen.
I think a lot of small companies, their entire investment strategy has been based on an exit
on hoping
to
that they'll buy
Amazon or Google or Facebook. I don't know if that's
We had Alexis Ohanian on yesterday, and he just talked about how, look, he's thrilled to see that smaller guys that he invests in will maybe have a better chance. He's not rooting for this, but he's thrilled to see that it could be a change in how things happen. I don't know that Silicon Valley is going to speak with one monolithic voice on this.
I just think if you look at how Facebook is positioning itself, what they're saying is, come on, regulate us. We're inevitable. We're the big ones. We're the national champion.
I agree with
we are now infrastructure of this company. Why don't you just go ahead and regulate us, cement our position as the monopoly on social networking, digital advertising, all the rest.
I agree with that.
I don't know if that's great. And I think it's interesting that you look at sort of the Hawley proposal. We're going to ban auto scroll and autoplay videos, right? We're going to actually change the behavior of the apps at the feature level. That is a very tight amount of regulation for a Republican, whereas Warren's saying, hey, maybe you should be two different companies.
Guys, we have to continue this conversation another time. Love to have you both back to do it, but we're at the end of the hour. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Coming up, the CEO of Adidas joins us live. We will talk about the latest trends in athleisure, the retail sector struggles, and much more.
Interactive Brokers.
I am a force for good.
I am a force for courage.
And for calm.
I am a force for safety.
For fairness.
For leadership.
I am a force for the future.
For compassion.
For my community.
I am a police officer.
And I am a force for all.
Be one of the 20,000 new police officers and be a force for all that you believe in. Search Join the Police.
At Argos, save 25% off homewares across thousands of lines. Our autumn-winter home and furniture collection is here. So stylish, you can wear it. With Argos, you're good to go. Offer ends 8th of October. Conditions apply. Subject to availability, selected lines.
Searching for a more memorable short break? Fly from London Heathrow to Cork from $55.99 each way as part of a return trip with Aer Lingus. Step off the plane and into a warm welcome in Cork. Surround yourself with breathtaking coastal views. Soak up the culture of Cork City or head to the colourful town of Kinsale and indulge in the best seafood around. Smart enjoys a short break in Ireland. Smart flies Aer Lingus. Book now at airlingus.com. Offer subject to conditions and availability.
Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden.
Hot breakfast.
Tom Hanks is our special guest. You're either being punished or rewarded. I'll let you decide.
I did do a whole show of Grease on my front lawn when I was a kid. We charged everyone 10p. We raised a fiver and I gave it to Bishop's Waltham Gymnastics Club towards a new crash mat.
Do they get the crash mat?
I mean, it took a couple more years, but yeah.
It does happen to normal people like you. You've won £20,000. Well done.
I love this game.
Hot breakfast
with Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden. Weekdays from 6:30. Listen on your radio, global player, or smart speaker.
Play hard. The relaxing sound of fresh, cold running water. And you can have it in your kitchen. With amazing savings on Samsung fridge freezers at Curry's PC World. Like the RB31 with its chilled water dispenser for only $3.99. Or upgrade to the Samsung RS8000 American-style fridge freezer with water and ice dispenser. A huge 609 litres of storage space. At just $104.9. How relaxing. At Curry's PC World. Energy rating A+. T's and C's apply.
Good. Here's a swing and a drive deep to right field. Looking up. Goodbye, baseball.
Between game-winning shots and walk-off homers, tune in on social media to discover the latest and greatest in live sports.
With the 24th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft.
From live reminders that the biggest MLB games are on the air, to recommendations of the best new sports talk shows and podcasts.
He's going to be fine. He's going to be good right away in 3 years.
Follow at TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to get the most out of TuneIn.
A U.S. manufacturing shocker. The markets in the red again this morning after yesterday's disappointing numbers. Could new data on tap today spell more trouble?
Jewel sales go up in smoke. A closer look at the industry as pressure mounts from regulators.
And Manhattan real estate prices tumble. What's causing the biggest drop since the financial crisis? We'll find out. The second hour of Squawk Box begins right now.
She got me on the pressure. She got me on the pressure.
Live from the beating heart of business, New York. This is Squawk Box.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Squawk Box here on CNBC. I'm Becky Quick, along with Joe Kernan and Mike Santoli. U.S. equity futures at this hour have been indicated down, even after the declines that we saw yesterday. All the major averages down by more than 1% yesterday. The S&P 500 and the Dow both giving back all the gains that they made for the entire third quarter in one session. And this morning, you are looking at the futures under pressure once again. Dow futures down by 184, NASDAQ off by 59, the S&P futures down by 21.
Here's making headlines at this hour. We are a little over an hour away from a key economic report. ADP will be out with its September report on private sector employment at 8:15 Eastern Time. Economists are looking for 125,000 new private sector jobs for the month. Troubles continue for WeWork. Credit rating agency Fitch cut its rating for the office sharing company by 2 notches, pushing it deeper into junk territory. That comes shortly after it abandoned its initial public offering plans. And FanDuel parent Flutter Entertainment is merging with Stars Group, the owner of online poker card room Poker Stars. The all-stock deal will create the world's largest online betting and gaming company worth more than $11 billion. And the market loves it. You see the stocks up 43 and 18% respectively.
A drop in the ISM manufacturing report putting pressure on the markets to the start of the fourth quarter. Steve Leisman went behind the numbers and joins us with more on what it means. Steve, good morning.
Becky, good morning. This drop in the ISM manufacturing is igniting fears of recession in the broader economy. While the data show we're headed in the wrong direction, we're not there yet. Take a look. It was the second month in a row that this widely followed index dropped below 50. That indicates contraction only in the manufacturing sector. Now, we've had 2 months in a row below 50 before, most recently late 2015 and 2016. And that did not lead to a broader recession in the economy. Okay, now here's the averages. 3 months before recessions, ISM averages around 52. Very healthy. It's growing. Currently, it's around 48 after this second drop. It averages around 44 a month before a recession. In recession, the average is 43. So we're not there, but again, moving in the wrong direction at 48. Question is why? Most economists blame the trade war, along with slowing global growth and slowing global trade, as well as the strong dollar. And the weak manufacturing report prompted markets to price in a Fed rate cut in October, moving the odds-on bet from December for another quarter-point rate cut from the Fed. We'll hear from John Williams today, maybe about some of that. Attention now turns to the consumer, jobs, and services, the economy. It can avoid recession if those factors remain strong, and we get the ADP jobs report at 8:15, ISM services tomorrow at 10. Most economists continue to see U.S. growth this quarter coming in around 2. It was our CNBC Rapid Update went down to 1.9 yesterday after construction, but that is subject to change if this weakness from the manufacturing spreads.
How much is riding on the ISM non-manufacturing at this point?
Well, it didn't used to be the biggest report, remember? And part of that was a discussion you guys had earlier about how important manufacturing is to the economy.
Versus services.
One reason people like this ISM manufacturing report, it goes way back, 1947, 48. Services index began around 1997, so we don't have it through all the cycles. But yeah, it's very important that it be up there, that it not really show that weakness in being affected from manufacturing, really. The other thing I thought was interesting yesterday, did you guys watch the dollar on this ISM report? It weakened, not substantially, it weakened. It was a big cliff. There you go. See that? But then it came back.
Yeah.
Even while we priced in more rate cuts. So if the dollar is one of the things bugging the manufacturing sector, it becomes a question, how can we even weaken the dollar if we always remain, what are those country metaphors that you use all the time, though? The best horse in the barn or the best horse in the glue factory? Yeah. The dollar will always be relatively stronger. Only with a kind of concerted effort with our allies can we bring down the dollar, I think, no matter what the Fed does.
You also have this effect where it's kind of the markets are, fleeing risk, and the part of the shelter from risk trade is into the dollar.
But if that's the case, that means we can never actually relatively weaken the dollar to get, and it's a problem.
Unpredictable.
By the way, somebody just recently came forward with a big speech that said we need to get away from the dollar being that the global currency because we can never relieve the pressure.
Right.
I have to look up who did that. Carney. Yeah. To me in Jackson Hole. Right. Sorry.
All the good ones you can't use anymore. Best house in a bad neighborhood, I guess.
You probably got a lot of them.
I have a really good one, but I can't use it anymore.
The worst possum in the roadkill.
Yeah.
And I'm just making stuff up. Jeb would know about some of that stuff.
Jim! Hey, Jeb. It's good. I like the tie, Leisman. I have to say that. As a new one, and I like the whole The whole look. Almost looks like you have an interview.
I'm staying with the light suits, Joe. I'm not giving up on them because of the weather.
It looks good, but the
It's
tie
kind
is
of you to
the
say.
new. The tie's new.
It probably is.
It is or isn't?
Joe.
It is. All right.
Joe, the idea of giving me clothes is a completely lost benefit. I don't really care.
For more on trade and how the economy, you care because you spent some time with that wife with you. Jeb Hensarling, Executive Vice Chairman at UBS, former Congressman and the Chairman of the House Financial Services Committee. You always knew a lot when you were there. Now you're at UBS. You got to have your pulse or your finger on the pulse of the entire global economy. We're going to need you for that. Also, Robert Spalding, Senior Fellow at the Hudson Institute, author of Stealth War, How China Took Over While America's Elite Slept. So, Robert, here's what I'm going to start with you on. So there is some worry that the trade war is responsible for what we're seeing in manufacturing and in the global slowdown. You wrote a book with a very loaded title. Did we need to do this? When it's all said and done, will it be worth it if we get some concessions from China?
Well, I think one of the challenges right now is that the tariffs are looked at as temporary. So if we really want to get investment in the United States to bring back manufacturing, they actually need to be made permanent because China's not an open market, number one. Number two, we have, through the Defense Production Act and Title III, a lot of authorities in the Defense Department to use some of the $800 billion we spend a year on reindustrializing the United States. So part of the national security strategy is really about, fostering manufacturing growth in the United States. We haven't started to do that.
Well, my question was, do we do near-term pain for long-term gain? Should we, in 2020, November, is coming up. I don't know whether the president has looked at the calendar, but is this the great time? Is this the great time to be doing this, Jeb?
Well, if the president isn't running on a great economy, he's going to have a real challenge. And so I think a lot of people give the president credit with the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, what we were able to do to take off some of the rough edges of Dodd-Frank. As you know, we got near 3% GDP growth, but then you had the big wet blanket of a potential global trade war put on top of this. And so the question is, number one, are the tariffs ultimately an ends or are they a means? It is a high-risk, high-reward strategy that the president's engaged upon, and we still don't know how it's going to come out as of yet. I would say particularly now with the impeachment charges, the president probably believes he cannot afford to look weak whatsoever. And my guess is also that in the short term, the winner is Senator Warren, because in some respects, both Biden and the president have been soiled by this. And so the Chinese have to be looking at Senator Warren and saying, are we going to get a better deal here than we're going to get with President Trump? And if so, maybe they do want to come to the table. But my own personal prediction is we're going to see a little bit more of this roller coaster. We're still too far out from the election for them to finally come to some resolution.
Can we ever regain the lost ground for China?
We absolutely can. One of the problems you have hundreds of billions of dollars, especially with MSCI All World Index going to 20% on Chinese equities. So you have $400 billion going into China. That money could actually be going into the United States, where productivity is higher, where resource allocation actually is done on a market basis, not on a state-controlled government basis. And I think if we do that, we do those things, we start focusing on rebuilding manufacturing in the United States. We lost over 70,000 factories and 13 million jobs when China entered the WTO. So we can actually grow our economy, but we have to invest in America, sending, by the way, Federal Thrift Savings Board, the board that handled my 401k when I was on active duty, next year is going to send 20% of their assets to China. So military members are going to be funding the companies that build the weapons that they may face one day. So this is a big challenge for our country. We ought to think about it more than just on the short-term trade war.
When you're at UBS, you go to meetings and stuff about strategies and what their view on the global economy is? Jeb, can you bring us some insight to what you Brahmins...
The short answer is no, because the honest answer is for 4 months, I've cordoned myself in my office to study for securities licensing exams. So in many respects...
Do you think are we on the cusp of a significant slowdown globally? Or not even globally, in this country, are we on the cusp of a significant slowdown?
That is not the UBS House view at the moment. So we still see positive economic growth. We do not believe that, we believe that probably there's about a 50% chance that the threatened tariffs that will take place on October 15th will happen, maybe a 30% chance they get worse, maybe a 20% chance that they actually get better. But I think the House view is that we still see very strong consumer spending at the moment. And personally, just speaking for myself, when we have a trade war taking place, I wasn't surprised by the manufacturing number.
Yep.
So the market, and particularly, again, when we look at the size of manufacturing within our economy, it'll be interesting to see if markets will end up...
Is USMCA getting done this year?
I don't believe so.
They won't do it. You know how the House operates. Speaker.
Well, impeachment has unleashed something that nobody knows where it's headed. But I do know this, whatever it is, it sucks all the oxygen out of the room. So my best guess is watch the polling data. If the polling data says that this is something that Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats ought to vote on in the House, they'll vote on it. If her vulnerable Democrats in these red districts need to show they are something else besides a perceived impeachment Congress, then you could potentially get that vote. I would say before this latest Ukrainian incident hit, that you probably had the votes in Congress to do it had the Speaker decided to go forward with it. And so there's always that dilemma. Do you give the president a win, or do you help your vulnerables in these red districts?
And by the way, when you say watch the polls, do you mean watch the national polls, or do you mean watch local polls to try and figure out how everybody's
more so the local polls. And having served with, I guess it's 4 different speakers in the House, their number one job is to preserve that majority.
Preserve the House, right.
Preserve the House.
So, Robert, you heard, do we still call you Congressman? People don't call you that anymore, do they? Chairman?
You can call me Jeb or Jim.
Executive Chairman. I call you Jim.
Yes,
all right. Yeah, on purpose. Do you think the Chinese are watching the impeachment?
Of course.
And what would they like to happen?
They would love to have Biden in place.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He loves China. I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. God, Hunter will have an even better job after... no, that's not... I didn't mean it. Are you going to... Meanwhile, I got you here. Are you going to cut all your commissions at UBS like TD Ameritrade? You think you're... will you push for that?
It is above my pay grade, Jeb, but I'll get right back
to
for your next segment.
Below your pay grade.
Hey, Jeb, I just want to give you some data from our poll yesterday about impeachment. And our pollsters, I think, agree. They said this is the most important piece of data to watch about impeachment. Democratic-controlled districts are pro-impeachment 51-39. Republican-controlled districts are against impeachment 35-56. Wow. Either one of those changes, that would be the absolute change that would happen to congressmen and representatives on the impeachment question.
Media's got to ramp up their efforts, Steve, if we're going to get this done, I think. You know what I mean? I saw 60 Minutes. They're turning it up a little. High gear. Did you know the Mueller report was inconclusive? That's what Scott Pelley told me right at the beginning of 60 Minutes. Did you know that?
Why are you asking me this?
I just wondered if you saw it. Because I just think that you can actually sway public opinion one way or another, so I just think that we're going to see things get ramped up.
I think public opinion matters for impeachment.
Right, and you're going to watch it get...
Right, and I would agree with
you.
And
you look around and see the major media landscape, right? You notice anything? You don't really notice what
Mac Recco is screaming at me, thankfully.
Right. Yeah, thankfully.
For me not to...
Robert, thanks. Do you see anything happening? You might. Let's talk off camera. Anyway, thank you both.
All right, let's get a check on the futures right now. You're going to see that they are still under some extreme pressure today after, down by 172 points for the futures for the Dow. S&P futures off by almost 20. The NASDAQ off by 57. And Squawk Box will be right back.
When we return, the CEO of Adidas on the highly competitive athleisure wear segment, the state of the consumer, and the ongoing trade war. And later, Manhattan real estate having its worst third quarter in over a decade. What's driving the market lower? A special report is coming up right here on Squawk Box.
The S&P 500, the benchmark.
Today, your information is more exposed than ever. When you shop, sign in, or browse, you could be vulnerable to cybercriminals. More online threats demand more protection. That's why new Norton 360 provides multiple layers of protection, combining device security, secure VPN, password manager, and cloud backup all in one solution. Get new Norton 360, starting at $24.99 for the first year.
The relaxing sound of fresh, cold running water. And you can have it in your kitchen. With amazing savings on Samsung fridge freezers at Currys PC World. Like the RB31 with its chilled water dispenser for only $3.99. Or upgrade to the Samsung RS8000 American-style fridge freezer with water and ice dispenser. A huge 609 litres of storage space. At just $104.9. How relaxing. At Currys PC World. Energy rating A+. T's and C's apply.
What if you could keep up with cable news even when you're on the go? With TuneIn Premium, you can listen to MSNBC live without any commercial interruptions. All of the news, none of the ads. Listen live on TuneIn Premium today.
From the TuneIn Studios on Fonseca with all your updates, just give me a quick reminder that the Tampa Bay Rays will be at the Oakland Athletics for the MLB Wild Card. Now, that's today at 8:09 p.m. Eastern.
3-2, swung on, blasted to left. Ramon gives it a long ride, up, over, and out, past the A's bullpen. It's 1-0 Oakland. Laureano's 24th home run.
You want to catch that game? Search MLB and favorite. That way you don't miss a moment of the action.
TuneIn puts you on the sideline for the 2019 college football season free all year long. With college football on TuneIn, hear the home and away call for more than 140 schools live. Regular season matchups and rivalry games. Conference championships and bowl games. The college football playoff.
The throw, he steps up, he's going deep down the right side. Andrews.
You can listen to it all for free.
The end zone, touchdown.
At home, on campus, or on the road, hear the excitement and pageantry of college football all season long free on TuneIn.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. Ray Dalio says the Trump administration may be, in his words, inching toward bigger moves against China. In an online post, the hedge fund manager says possibilities could include cutting off capital flows to China and using sanctions to block non-American financial transactions.
When we come back, Adidas upping its game in the athleisure segment and cleaning up the ocean while doing it. CEO Casper Worstead will join us right after this break to explain. And later, e-cigarette companies under pressure as the death toll rises to 16. Juul's sales growth has fallen dramatically over the last month. We'll take a look at the big players and what is next for the industry. Squawk Box will be right back.
Time now for today's Aflac trivia question. When McDonald's debuted its menu in 1940, what was the total cost of a cheeseburger, French fries, and milkshake meal? The answer when CNBC Squawk Box continues.
We think you would really shine in the Aflac.
Today, your information is more exposed than ever. When you shop, sign in, or browse, you could be vulnerable to cybercriminals. More online threats demand more protection. That's why new Norton 360 provides multiple layers of protection, combining device security, secure VPN, password manager, and cloud backup all in one solution. Get new Norton 360, starting at $24.99 for the first year.
We could play epic music, or we could speak in an overdramatic tone, or even set off fireworks. But that's just not smarty. Instead, we let our offer do the talking. Right now, you can grab 25% off our unlimited data SIM. That's just $18.75 a month with no speed restrictions, no credit check, and no long contract to tie you in. Now that's smarty. Just search Smarty Mobile and switch today. It's easy. Offer available for a limited time only. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October. Brexit will bring changes that affect businesses in many ways, particularly if you buy from EU suppliers, sell to EU customers, provide services to EU clients, and receive customer data from other businesses in the EU. Businesses need to prepare. Find out how at gov.uk/Brexit. Get ready for Brexit on the 31st of October.
At Argos, save 25% off homewares across thousands of lines. Our autumn-winter home and furniture collection is here. So stylish, you can wear it. With Argos, you're good to go. Offer ends 8th of October. Conditions apply. Subject to availability, selected lines.
Houston and Amanda Holden.
Hard breakfast.
Tom Hanks is our special guest.
You're either being punished or rewarded. I'll let you decide.
I did do a whole show of Grease on my front lawn when I was a kid. We charged everyone 10p. We raised a fiver, and I gave it to Bishop's Waltham Gymnastics Club towards a new crash mat.
Do they get the crash mat?
I mean, it took a couple more years, but yeah.
It does happen to normal people like you. You've won £20,000. Well done.
I love this game.
Hard breakfast.
With Jamie Thiessen and Amanda Holden. Weekdays from 6:30. Listen on your radio, global player, or smart speaker.
Play hard. Rescue stressed, irritated skin with Estee Lauder's newest innovation, Advanced Night Repair Intense Reset Concentrate. Rescue and reset the look of skin with SOS technology. Skin feels instantly calmed, soothed and strengthened, revealing a more radiant, smooth and rested look. Face life head on with Estee Lauder's new Advanced Night Repair Intense Reset Concentrate. Why not try it for yourself? Head to your nearest Estee Lauder counter for a free SOS mini facial.
Now the answer to today's Aflac.
Adidas on track to sell 11 million shoes made from plastic water bottles this year, and they are just getting started. The German athletic company, which is the world's second biggest maker of athletic shoes, is planning to use only recycled plastic instead of polyester in all of its shoes and clothing by the year 2024. Joining us right now from London is Casper Rorsted. He's the CEO of Adidas. And Casper, it's great to see you.
Good morning.
You know, we have talked in the past about this effort that you're making, and I know it's trickier than it seems. It sounds great to go ahead and do this, but why did you start doing this, and what are some of the struggles you found along the way as you've moved down this path?
So in 2015, we had the idea of making a shoe out of ocean plastic, and the first shoe we made was very clumsy and actually not a very well functioning shoe. So first we needed to get the performance elements right around the shoe. So that was the first one, which just took us a couple of years. And secondly, was really putting a supply chain in place where we can get ocean plastic to the factories. And part of the challenge of collecting ocean plastic is if you start an industry, that is an industry that is prone for child labor. So the more demand we had, we need to make sure that when we collect ocean plastic, that we actually didn't engage in an industry that engaged people or kids. So right now we're in a position where, as you correctly said, we have 11 million pairs of shoes being sold out of ocean plastic this year. We have apparel, so that means training suits, jumpers, outdoor jackets, or even swimwear. Last weekend I was mountain biking in the Austrian mountains with a fully outfit made out of ocean plastic.
Wow.
And having the functionality and performance of a normal product.
When you first started down this road and realized all of the issues that go along with it, how difficult it is to do this, other problems like child labor that it brings up. Oh, and then, by the way, the fact that the first stuff wasn't all that great. What did you think? Did you ever regret making this move and think, what have I gotten ourselves into?
We actually didn't, we're not convinced about the scalability of it first. We knew that it was a very good thing to do, it was great for our brand, but I think only later on did we realize how we could also commercialize it and make it a real part of our business. If you look upon, this is the latest shoe we have, which I brought along, so I would use the opportunity in American television, using a 3D printed midsole and upper made out of ocean plastic. And by that, we have some of the most innovative shoes in the sporting goods industry at this stage. So it took us a while to understand the real commercial value out of it, but right now we're completely convinced about it. And if you see the global movement, you know, coming around sustainability, about removing plastic from the ocean and from the environment, we know that we really, made a home run with the products we have, and we're expanding as quickly as we can. But of course, we had our doubts in the beginning.
You're not doing this overnight because it's expensive. What do you charge? What are your margins on this? And again, you think it's something that's scalable because you figured out a way to make it profitable?
Yeah, in the beginning, we're making very little money, and even if I take this shoe today, this is dilutive to margins. But when we look upon, a couple of years ago, we did $1 million, this year 11 million. And this is going to be hundreds of millions of products in the next 3 to 4 years. So right now we know that the more we scale, the better the margins are. And it's so imperative to what we're trying to do as a company. But so far it's been an investment, I would say. Probably a year ago, 18 months ago, we started making money on it. And right now, with the scale we got with 11 million pairs of shoes, this will be one of the contributors to our margin line this year.
Casper, how are you seeing things around the globe right now, just in terms of the economy? Nike came out recently and said that it had seen an acceleration, a re-acceleration in sales in China and other places. What are you experiencing?
So I think we need to separate what's happening for different companies and the economy. There's no doubt the global economy is seeing a slowdown. Europe has been flat or slightly growing for the last couple of years. The trade war between North America and China is not helping the global economy. We've seen a slight slowdown in the U.S. and definitely also a slowdown in China. But we're middle of the quiet periods that can only comment on the second quarter. We saw very strong growth in the second quarter in China.
In terms of manufacturing and just the supply line, I think you only make about 25% of your shoes in China. You have other places that you make them. What does the trade war mean for you?
So the trade war has very little impact when it comes to import duties. The much more serious one is if the American consumer has less money to spend, he or she, will spend less money on all products, including ours. So that's the more worrying one. And of course, if you have a devaluation of the Chinese currency, then that has an impact. So that's what we're seeing. Reversely, we're not seeing a slowdown in the manufacturing of our products, which we are, as I said, doing in China and in Asia. Whether it's this one or maybe, if I may, the newest prototype we have, which is a fully recyclable shoe. We now have 250 models out, or 250 products out. We're testing it for the next 2 years. In 21, we'll launch it in volume. And that means we've developed a shoe in one single material that we can completely take back, recycle all components of this product, and build a complete new shoe. And a lot of the stuff that we're doing here, the innovation is taking place in the West, but manufacturing is going to take place in the East.
How do you decide where to build plants, especially with some of this new materials that you're using?
We basically go where the competence is, and there's no doubt, whether it's in China or Vietnam or Indonesia, the shoe-wear industry has taken its center out of those countries in the last 30 years. And frankly, the competence to build complicated product like this shoe or this shoe is coming very much out of Asia. The competence to develop it and design it, so the 3D print shoe we have here is done with the cooperation of a American-based tech company called 4D Carbon out in California. So a lot of the development is taken on the West, but the manufacturing of the products is still happening in the East.
Casper, you have grown market share at a faster rate than your biggest competitor, Nike, has recently. But when you kind of look around the globe and try and figure out what to do next, do you look at this as a zero-sum game? Do you look at this as a game that both major players and others can win? How do you handle the competition? How do you look at what your next initiative should be?
So if you look upon the overall sporting goods market, it will continue to grow. It's the fight against obesity, having people move more, and of course also the movement toward casual wear. So I think it's a mistake when you look upon our industry if you only look upon two companies. So we look upon it in a much greater context, looking upon which companies are coming up in Asia and Europe and the US, and to figure out which market segments do we want to occupy. As I said in the beginning, one of the market segments that we are occupying is really the segment around being leader in sustainability and bringing the best, most innovative products out across the entire range, but with a clear differentiator in sustainability. And that's where we don't have one competitor. Of course, we have many competitors in this space.
Casper, I want to thank you for your time today. It's really great talking to you. Casper Rorsted is the CEO of Adidas.
All right, coming up, Juul, the market leader in the e-cigarette segment, seeing a big drop in sales since warnings and deaths due to vaping. We'll take a closer look at the e-cigarette market in just a bit. Squawk Box coming right back.
Squawk CEO Call.
I am a force for good.
I am a force for courage.
And for calm.
I am a force for safety.
For fairness.
For leadership.
I am a force for the future.
For compassion.
For my community.
I am a police officer.
And I am a force for all.
Be one of the 20,000 new police officers and be a force for all that you believe in. Search Join the Police.
Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden.
Hard breakfast. Tom Hanks is our special guest.
You're either being punished or rewarded. I'll let you decide.
I did do a whole show of grease on my front lawn when I was a kid. We charged everyone 10p. We raised a fiver and I gave it to Bishop's Waltham Gymnastics Club towards a new crash mat.
Do they get the crash mat?
I mean, it took a couple more years, but yeah.
It does happen to normal people like you. You've won £20,000. Well done.
I love this game.
Breakfast with Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden. Weekdays from 6:30. Listen on your radio, global player, or smart speaker.
Play hard.
We spoke to the Cans from Sly about what BT's new complete Wi-Fi brings to their busy house.
Now the Wi-Fi literally does reach every corner of the house. We have 11 people that all use the Wi-Fi for different things, and the Wi-Fi disc has helped that so much.
The harmony in the house has improved 10 or 20-fold.
The Cans are 11 more happy BT customers with complete Wi-Fi that guarantees a Wi-Fi signal in every room.
Up to 3 discs to guarantee Wi-Fi or £20 off your bill. Terms apply.
At DFS, we know how important it is to be comfy, to have somewhere to put your feet up, and enjoy some well-deserved downtime. So our skilled craftspeople, like Barbara here, go all out to make sure every sofa we make is perfect.
I treat every sofa that I sew as if it's coming to my house.
And she's very, very particular. With every sofa carefully handmade to order, everyone can get comfy at DFS.
What if you could keep up with cable news even when you're on the go? With TuneIn Premium, you can listen to MSNBC live without any commercial interruptions. All of the news, none of the ads. Listen live on TuneIn Premium today.
On Squawk Box, the latest on the nation's growing concerns about vaping and what it means for Juul and the others in that space. And then the Big Apple seeing red when it comes to Manhattan real estate. We'll bring you the numbers and speak to a top realtor about the state of housing in New York. Plus, we are on high alert this morning as the futures point to another lower open. The ADP private payroll numbers will be out. We'll bring you that data and market reaction. Squawk Box will be right back.
From the TuneIn Studios on Fonseca with all your updates. Just give me a quick reminder that the Tampa Bay Rays will be at the Oakland Athletics for the MLB Wild Card. Now, that's today at 8:09 p.m. Eastern.
3-2, swung on, blasted to left. Ramon gives it a long ride, up, over, and out, past the A's bullpen. It's 1-0 Oakland. Laureano's 24th home run.
You want to catch that game? Search MLB and favorite. That way you don't miss a moment of the action.
College football is live on TuneIn. Listen for free to games from more than 140 schools all season long.
To the 10, all the way to the checkerboard. Somebody stays on his feet and scores.
What's happening in college football this week, this Saturday? The scoreboard will be working overtime as Sam Ehlinger brings his vaunted Texas Longhorns passing attack to West Virginia for a Big 12 conference matchup against the Mountaineers. The action starts at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Just search college to listen today.
These are the top buzzing stories on TuneIn.
John Cena used to get bullied.
I used to wear the airbrushed overalls, the MC Hammer pants. You used to wear my shirts on backwards, keep all the tags on my clothes.
Paris Hilton on how she pampers her pooches.
She built a mansion essentially for her.
The doggy mansion.
The dog, yeah.
I don't have kids yet, so basically I spoil them like they're my children.
Those were the top stories that are buzzing on TuneIn.
Hey NFL fans, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you have unlimited access to every team and every game in the league. Listen live as it happens or on demand. Anytime, anywhere. All season long. Search NFL today. Major League Baseball postseason is in full swing, and TuneIn Premium puts you at field level for every...
And it's a home run.
Single...
And gone!
Game.
And that gone, a home run.
With TuneIn Premium, catch every pitch of every inning of every Major League postseason game until the final out of the World Series.
0-2 pitch, little half swing, and it hit.
At home or on the road, Major League Baseball's postseason action is on TuneIn Premium.
And that ball is gone.
Upgrade today.
Next time you look up at the stars, think about this.
Inside you
are the remains of a stellar explosion. You are made of stardust. And without the stars, there wouldn't be us.
I'm Guy Raz, the wonders of the universe and the people who still look up every night. Next time on the TED Radio Hour from NPR. You can subscribe to the TED Radio Hour on TuneIn.
Several more vaping-related deaths have been reported in the last 24 hours in Nebraska, Virginia, and New Jersey. This is going to be putting more pressure on the vape and e-cig companies, including industry leader Juul. Frank Holland is here. He's got more on this story. Frank.
Hey, good morning, guys. We know we're getting our first look at how the recent spike in deaths and illnesses related to vaping is reshaping this market. Now, Juul remains the leading e-cigarette in the U.S. with 72% of the market over the past year, but sales growth has slowed dramatically to 16% over the past 4 weeks compared to 119% growth over the past year. Consumers are increasingly turning to Juul's competitors. Vuse Vibe, it's hard to say, sold by British American Tobacco, has about 2% of the market. That's seen sales growth of 31,000% over the past month. It's a clear sign that consumers are looking for options beyond Juul, even though competitors are similar vaping products. Enjoy, a private e-cigarette company with about 5% of the market, has seen sales increase by more than 1,200% in the past 4 weeks. However, My Blue, which has about 2.5% of the market, seeing its growth slowing down to 25% over the last month compared to 250% for the year. Parent company Imperial Brands revised fiscal 2020 guidance because of U.S. vaping concerns, saying that growth would fall to 0 from a projected 8%. There's also another option that's growing in popularity, spitless tobacco. That's a product used orally, also seeing 45% growth in recent weeks. Snus is the majority of that category. It's very similar to chewing tobacco, but it's in a pouch. It's also had its own health concerns. It's banned in the majority of Europe, but probably the biggest U.S. threat to Juul could be coming with heated tobacco. IQOS, a Philip Morris product that was scheduled to debut in the U.S. last month. The FDA approved it in April, saying it has less toxins than traditional cigarettes. It's sold in more than 40 countries and has not had the same health concerns as vaping so far.
All right. Thanks, Frank. I don't... You ever tried it? I've never tried it.
I've never tried vaping or cigarettes.
I was... In my day, cigarettes didn't have quite the stigma. I mean, in colleges, I've smoked a cigarette. Have you smoked a cigarette?
Yeah, but it's not something I
You've never smoked a cigarette?
Never smoked, but they're still very popular. We were talking off air about how nobody smokes.
Nobody smokes. No one in their right mind smokes.
Still cigarettes.
I can't believe that somebody still have growth.
What is it, like 15% of adults? I mean, is it something in that zone? 15?
You know, it's fun.
Still smoke?
Europe.
Maybe. Yeah.
Europe cracks me up. I mean, it's unbelievable. You're walking down the street, it's like... That's what I say when I get back from Europe. I started smoking again. I took up smoking again in Europe. Oh, really? Well, not really, but
no, just breathing air. You happen to be.
Just breathing.
Oh, really?
Just breathing over there, you take up smoking again. Yeah.
I thought really one of the biggest shocks is that oral tobacco, chewing tobacco, and this new stuff is actually bigger than vaping. We talk about vaping because of the huge growth, but 9% of Americans use chewing tobacco or some other form of oral tobacco, and about 6% vape.
I think that's got its own list of issues, too, the chewing tobacco.
It's gross.
Yeah.
I'm willing to take a firm stand on that.
Yeah, you did. That's a good job. Anyway, for more on vaping and the e-cigarette industry, let's bring in our guest joining us now, Dr. Satel. She's an addiction psychiatrist and Yale School of Medicine lecturer. She's also a resident scholar at American Enterprise Institute. We had all kinds of discussions earlier, Doctor, about just instilling a need for something that you don't have at the beginning. It just seems it's a bad idea, and that's why I look back at the way Juul was introduced, and I guess it was introduced to try to help people, but when it instills a nicotine addiction from scratch, it just seems like we should have thought about that. Should have thought that through before we marketed it to kids.
Well, it was never marketed to kids, although
really?
It is true that some of their ads could certainly appeal to that age group, and they have cut those ads out. No, vaping nicotine, not vaping THC, which is what's causing illicit THC, which is what's causing those horrible vaping-related deaths and illnesses. But vaping nicotine for smokers, and that is the intended audience, and that's certainly the population for whom e-cigarettes were developed back in around 2007. It's actually the holy grail of public health for smoking, in that it supplies nicotine, which in and of itself is relatively harmless, but it supplies the nicotine without the smoke. And the smoke is what comes from burning tobacco and cigarettes, and that's what has the tar and the carbon monoxide, and that's what carries the carcinogens and what's harmful for hearts and the cardiovascular system in general. So it is, no one's saying e-cigarettes are safe, but they are much safer than smoking.
Although, Doctor, can I just go back on one point on Juul marketing to teenagers? I mean, this is why there's been such an outrage over this. Juul was targeting kids in its advertising. It visited high schools and told kids that their e-cigarettes were totally safe. Juul has since ended that campaign, but they were marketing to kids and were marketing to teenagers.
I'm not defending Juul. I'm not here from Juul.
No,
if they were, then that's unacceptable. Clearly, yes. Kids should, unless they're smoking teens. And in fact, the data show, I mean, one of the big concerns about teen vaping, and I can appreciate that this is a concern, is that it will lead kids to smoking, and that was called a gateway effect. But actually, teen smoking is the lowest it's ever been. So even though more kids are vaping, and that's not good, and those data came out about 3 weeks ago, right around the time the deaths from vaping contaminated THC started rising, and that was like a perfect storm to really turn up the heat on these devices. But the concern that even though more kids are vaping, 1 out of 4 will vape at least once a month, and 11% approximately maybe using 20 out of 30 days a month. That's completely unacceptable. But it's not leading to an increase in teen smoking. So that's one good result. But there's no question that teens shouldn't be vaping, again, unless they were originally smokers. And I happen to know that Juul has a $30 million effort aimed at age verification. They are really trying to crack down. The Vaping Technology Association has an 11-point guideline for age verification, how to prevent straw purchases. They support Tobacco 21, which means it's illegal. It would be nationally illegal to sell vaping products or cigarettes to anyone under 21. And those are all good proposals, because the idea,
high schools.
Yes, is to keep these away from kids, but make them more available to smokers.
I wonder what the actual number, I wish we knew, the actual numbers for people that are using it therapeutically to get off smoking versus people that have taken up a new habit, because
it's about 8 to 11 million that have adults who have started vaping.
And then how many have we helped stop smoking? Because
well, those are all, about half of them have completely stopped, and about half still use cigarettes a bit, and they're transitioning, hopefully.
But I've just heard that the claim that you're really therapeutically helping people stop smoking is exaggerated, and then the number of, nicotine, you say, is fairly harmless. I mean, long-term studies don't show any deleterious effects of nicotine addiction?
Nope. Actually, in adults, no. In children, we don't have any evidence, but I'm not saying no. I'm just saying the evidence that has been put forth to underscore the alleged allegation that nicotine causes brain damage in teens is unsupported. Now, I can't say that one day there may be some data that will give us some insight, but what's put forth as data for that is completely unsupported. It's from animal studies. I mean, nicotine patches, gums, they've been available for years, and no physical harms from that. Now, if you've just had a heart attack, your doctor's going to warn you against using any kind of stimulant. And nicotine is a mild stimulant, and so is caffeine. And if you've had a heart attack or a stroke, or you have a fragile cardiovascular system, your doctor will tell you not to use any kind of mild stimulant of any kind. Yeah. But generally, it's quite benign. Now, not for people who are pregnant. Again, no nicotine for women.
Hey, Doctor, circling back to the ban, I mean, do you think that flavored nicotine makes it more likely for teens to smoke? Any data on that?
Actually, what kids prioritize as the reason they smoke is that vape, is that they think it's kind of cool. Certainly they enjoy some of the flavors, there's no question about that, but the adults do as well. So again, we have to be concerned about the children and the access. at the same time figure out a way to make these devices more available to smokers because they're so much less harmful.
Dr. Satel, thank you, Dr. Satel. I think you got the AEI perspective to some extent.
I have the data perspective.
But no relationships to Juul at all in any way, consulting or anything?
None.
Okay, all right, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, New York City feeling the pinch when it comes to the real estate market. 25% of all condos built in Manhattan since 2013 remain unsold. This according to a report by StreetEasy. We will find out why after the break. Now check out the futures at this hour. Still under some pressure, some follow-through selling from yesterday. Dow indicated down 157, S&P down 18, and the NASDAQ off 50 points. Squawk Box will be right back.
Searching for a more memorable short break? Fly from London Heathrow to Cork from $55.99 each way as part of a return trip with Aer Lingus. Step off the plane and into a warm welcome in Cork. Surround yourself with breathtaking coastal views, soak up the culture of Cork City, or head to the colourful town of Kinsale and indulge in the best seafood around. Smart enjoys a short break in Ireland. Smart flies Aer Lingus. Book now at airlingus.com. Offer subject to conditions and availability.
Jamie Theakston and Amanda Holden.
Hot breakfast. Tom Hanks is our special